You're setting how you want to feel. You're setting the things that you want to accomplish for that day. Like you're setting you're setting the tone of your actions and your emotions for the day. It's energy. So energy is the first thing we like to teach our clients, that to recognize the difference in energy. Are you physically tired? Or are you mentally tired?
Mentally.
Really, right? Whenever I feel like you decide that you want something, whether that's to lead, whether that's to be a powerful leader, whether that's to be in a relationship, there always has to be a moment of self-reflection.
Welcome to Keys to the Culture podcast. It's your hostess with the mostest, Maisha, and this is a place where we celebrate creators, entrepreneurs, and innovators who shape the culture around us in the creator economy, one post at a time. So in other words, we're rooting for everybody Black. So today we have an amazing person on the show that I want to introduce you all to. So let me read a little bit about her so you can get to know her a little bit better. So Coach K is the founder of a New You coaching and consulting firm along with her mother. They started this business because they believe that everyone deserves an opportunity to become the best version of themselves and provide the tools for them to do so. A New You Coaching and Consulting is a family-owned and operated life coaching and consulting company. They develop a four-phase system to help individuals become clear on their goals and execute. This is not only an amazing firm, but a dynamic duo that came together to provide you guys with amazing service. So we want to welcome Coach K.
Thank you so
How you
much.
doing, girl?
I'm good.
I'm so happy that you're here.
Thank you for having me.
Listen, it's been a long time coming, and I wanted to have this conversation with you. But before we start, I have one question to ask you. When did you know that Black creativity was the culture?
I think it's always been right there in our faces.
Yeah.
I don't think there's ever a point in time where you kind of realize it, because, like I said, it's just always been there.
Yeah.
And when you are Black, that's mostly what you see.
Yeah.
And then you start to see it replicated in other cultures. So you can tell that we are the blueprint, and
Period.
it's clear.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. And you growing up, did you grow up in this city?
Yes.
You grew up in LA?
Yeah, I did.
So tell us a little bit about your life growing up, and how was it?
Well, it's always just been me and my mother, and we have been a dynamic duo from the start. And you know, I've always been free to express myself.
Yeah.
I grew up in a very freeing household.
I love it.
Free to express how I felt about things, free to express what I might want to do or, not do.
Yeah.
And as I got older, when it got time to make actual crucial decisions, like, not wanting to go to college and not wanting to take the traditional route, again, the support was just always there. It was never conditional. And I watched my mother herself kind of grow, like, get into certain teachings. She got into the law of attraction. She got into, just the power of positivity and that whole movement. And watching her life change in every single aspect was inspirational.
I love it.
And life-changing for me. So taking those lessons and just applying them to my own life, and like I said, being able to be free and making my own decisions. So now as an adult, I have that empowerment like instilled in me to know that whatever decision that I make, I'm supported by the higher power, by the people around me. And then just to know that there is no bad decision. Like, I think that was the biggest lesson. Like, there is no bad decision. If you want it, go for it. And even if it doesn't work out, you got the experience.
Absolutely.
You grew as a person. So it was a very freeing experience growing up.
I love it.
Yeah.
I really like it too, because it reminds me of me and my mom. So I grew up with my mom, a single parent, and my mom is more on the religious side, but we have such a close relationship, and I've been able to bring those concepts about the power of attraction and positive thinking as well to my mom, and that has positively like changed our relationship as well. So just how we raise our kids is so vital and important, and the conversations that we have. So just having those conversations with your mom, how has she impacted your life in a positive way?
I think the biggest lesson that she taught me was that there's power in focusing on you first before anything else. And if you do that, you will more powerfully impact the people around you. Not being scared to be kind of selfish in a way, but selfish in a good way. Selfish so you can be selfless, like the power of both. Because I think we're always taught that selfish is like it has a negative connotation to it. But when you see the result of it on the other end, if it's practiced the right way, you see how powerful it is. And then I think that the second thing the second positive impact was the power of imagination. Like really understanding that your imagination is your superpower. Like,
yes, it is.
So when we grow up and we hear, you know, how powerful the mind is, we don't really get that. But when we understand that if you can just consciously be aware of attaining it, if you are consciously aware of you already having it, how much, like that's 70% of the process. The rest is the work that you have to put in. But if you are already consciously aware of having it and you have it in your mind first, the possibilities are endless. So
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree 100%. And for you, like, you know, growing up with your mother and all the amazing things she's done, because her mama is here. Hey, mama. And you know, just having that relationship with her, how has that impacted your relationship with other women?
I go into friendships and or partnerships or whatever the case may be, collaborations with other women, with a very, how can I put it, like understanding and compassionate mindset, but also an empowering mindset. You know, growing up and us being the only two women in the household, like empowering each other. You take that into relationships, friendships, and, you know, business relationships, whatever that might be. And you can go into it with compassion and understanding, because you know that nothing is personal. You don't take anything personal. So you don't have that like you against me mentality.
Yes.
There's no defense up, you know. And I think I think they say that your relationship with your mother, like that's the first female relationship that you have. And if that's healthy, you can develop healthier friendships and relationships. But also, like, my standard was higher, though.
Come on.
My standard for what a friendship looked like with other women was high. So when you get into situations where you can sense the defense, when you can sense the kind of like that competitive feel, yes, you have compassion, but you know, like, you deserve better than that when it comes, you know, because that's what you're used to. So it definitely helps set the standard for what it looks like partnering or collaborating or having friendships with other women.
Yeah. And you know what? You know, for you as being a coach and consultant, one of the things I was thinking about when I was thinking about that is women. Because a lot of women, you know, we have our influences from our family, and that can be negative influences as well. Yeah. And we can take those things and go out into the world, and then we start, you know, putting that on relationships, whether that be romantic relationships or friendships. And in your line of work, do you feel like there's a lot of women who need a lot of guidance in just relationships in general?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like all of them. Yes. There's so many layers to relationships. So many.
Yeah.
The first one starts with, the first layer is never taking anything personal, though. That's where I see a lot of relationships fail, whether it's romantic or platonic or, you know, business. It's taking things personally. Yeah. So the first lesson is to always learn, like, whatever anybody's going through or however somebody treats you is a reflection of what they're going through. So it doesn't have anything to do with you. You should never take it personally. Yeah. And when you do take it personally, that can cause that conflict. But when you don't, you kind of allow for somebody to be them in their space, and you can set that boundary, but there is no, again, sense of like this back and forth or just that kind of, I won't say competition, but just the conflict, you know, back and forth. Yeah. So yeah, I think that's the first lesson that anybody that I've coached, I'd have to teach, because I mean, if you can dissect what might be going on in that issue of that relationship, it's they took something personal in some way, shape, or form. Yeah.
You know what I always say? It's always a root cause to something. That's why I try like to be very compassionate and very understanding when people, they have an initial issue with something. Because I've said some things to people and I'm very, very honest, but I can be very blunt when I say it, and people take it me like, I don't like that. I'm like, well, I apologize for my delivery, but this is the truth. And, if someone takes it in a negative way, then I'm looking at, okay, what is this coming up for them? What is that that's coming up? And a lot of times it's always that root cause of something that happened. It could be childhood trauma. It could be a relationship they had that it was a traumatic experience. Someone hurt them. And, romantic relationships can have a huge toll on how they communicate with people. So communication skills, I think, is something that a lot of us have to work on. And do you see that a lot? It's just it comes down to a lot of communication and our communication styles.
Yeah. And you just said something powerful. Like, I've heard a lot of people say, like, I'm just an honest person. I'm just honest. I'm blunt. But I've never heard them say, if the person gets defensive, I apologize for my delivery.
Listen.
Like, that's a big one.
I've been through some things.
Yes. Like, apologizing for, okay, I'm sorry it came off that way. But the message is still there. You always hear people kind of just saying, I am blunt. That just is what it is. And just take it for what it is. But being able to apologize for the delivery, I think, can change that trajectory of that conversation a lot.
Yeah, I've been through some things, y'all. But, what you've been through, some things you learn from it. I think that's the lesson. People have to learn. It's a lesson when you go through things. But if you still stay in it, then there's no growth that's happening there, right? So just let's talk about A New You, coaching and consulting. What is that, and why did you go into coaching and consulting?
Well, we started off in the fitness world. So, we were fitness coaches, and, I'm a weight gainer. My mother's a weight loser. So we kind of tackled both sides of things, and we were doing these 2-week challenges. They were extremely successful. We were building a crazy community. And it was fun. It was fun. It was lucrative. It was amazing to have that community. And outside of doing the 2-week challenges, we were also doing individual coaching, just working with that person to get to whatever that goal weight was. Not training, but coaching on the mindset aspect, and, some meal plans and some workout plans. And we got a client. Her name was Chanel, and she came to lose weight. And we were working with her, but she was very open to, like, she had a networking business she was a part of, and she was growing this business. So she was in entrepreneurship. She was a mother. She was a wife. She was trying to balance all these areas, still work on herself, obviously lose weight. And she let us in. Like, she let us into her entire life. Like, I don't know if it's the things we were saying, but she was like, this could apply to everything. So that relationship that we built with her and how we helped her kind of grow in other areas outside of fitness changed the entire course of what we thought we wanted to do. And experiencing her was like taking that moment to sit down and say, that was nice to be able to impact somebody's entire life. So we are always grateful to her for that. And once we kind of got out of that experience, and as we were working with her, we decided we want to work with people in other areas of their life. So establishing what that might look like, and doing the research, and we came to life coaching. That was a trade we can get into to help get our foot in the door. And we learned a lot taking that course. Coming out of that course and continuously working with somebody like Chanel and other clients that we started to attract that was just like her, we started to really develop what we wanted our coaching to look like. A New You came, though, and like the name came when we were in fitness. I think we were sitting there having a conversation, and A New You just came in the midst of the conversation. It was like, we like that. We like the name. So the name went from A New You Total Body Wellness to A New You, I think it was Total Body Fit, to A New You Coaching and Consulting, because we were like, regardless of the area that you need help in, we can establish the foundation that you need to get to whatever goal it is.
Yes.
So, we established our system, our way of coaching, and we have been able to coach people, whether it's a fitness goal, whether they're a mother, whether they are trying to mend their relationship, whether it's like their marriage or their relationship with their kids, business, building a business. And it's all with just the basic fundamentals that you need, mindset.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So life coaching, if you can break that down, how would you break that down?
Life coaching is a very broad industry. While we were in the course, there were coaches, like we were able to mingle with other coaches. So there were coaches that identified themselves in all, areas. So there was a relationship coach in there. There was a trauma coach. There were, other people I spoke with that was a health coach. And that was their focus. Like that was their niche. So with life coaching, you're able to decide what your niche is going to be and what that's going to look like. And, so life coaching in itself, in my opinion, doesn't necessarily have a specific description. So as we were developing our program, we decided, what is our niche? What is that thing that we specialize in? And for us, that was high performance. For us, that was working with people who identified as being great, whether that was being a great mother, whether that was being a great business owner, whether that was being great just in their own personal, just ambitious, just driven. And making them even better. Like we just realized that that's where our power is. We can take someone who's great and make them even better. Yes. So high performance has been our focus from there. And that is what we have shifted to. And that's where we excel in. It's just high performance coaching.
So that covers a multitude of different things. But, with these high performers, what has been some of the biggest challenges that you have faced?
The first is understanding that going from coaching somebody who is lacking in the fundamentals, like consistency.
That's my problem. Hey, it's your girl Maisha from Keys to the Culture podcast. Are you a creative building a brand and want to take your business to the next level? Then listen up, because I got some exciting news for you. One of the fastest ways to reach your target audience is to promote on Keys to the Culture podcast. Why? Because we have some of the biggest names in the game, from musicians to CEOs to creatives and bosses of all kinds. So this is your chance to tap into our audience to grow your business to the next level. We work with small businesses as well as newbies in the game. So don't worry if you're just starting out, we got you covered. Are you ready to promote on Keys to Culture podcast? Well, click the link in the bio to promote today.
Lacking the fundamentals, and like consistency or believing in themselves and things like that. The process to take somebody from that to just good.
Yeah.
Okay, now I'm consistent. Now I'm to taking somebody who's coming to you like, I don't struggle with consistency. I'm good. Like I have the vision, I have the dream, I have the discipline. I just want somebody on my side who's gonna make me feel unstoppable because I have these things coming up. I have these obstacles coming up, and I need somebody there to let me know, like, we can run through that wall. So it's like that work is a lot. The value is different.
Yeah.
The value is different. And that's the challenge, is understanding, like, your value as a coach to that person is making them feel empowered. Your value as a coach to that person is making them feel truly unstoppable, keeping them high. Like, it's taking somebody from being low to high, but keeping somebody at a high, high vibration at that high level. That's a challenge in itself.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful challenge, but
yeah, I feel like that's kind of like my thing. Yeah. Like when I'm on something, I'm on it. Yeah. But then I don't know. I feel like the battery just burn out. I don't know if it's
burnout. That's a big one.
That's a big one. I get tired, y'all. I'll be so drained. Especially it's hard when you're doing it by yourself. Because I can be the top performer. You be like, Maisha, you're doing so much. And then I'll be like, okay, I need a break. Yeah. Like right now, energy. Vacation. I need that. So I need my vacation immediately because I think we don't recharge sometimes. That's kind of what I feel like we don't do. And if you don't have a team around you that can kind of carry the torch, if I step away for a week and be like, I'm off the grid, y'all, for like a week, I need somebody to take that torch and run with it. And I think that's a lot of the problem too. Have you seen that in your line of work?
Yes, it's energy. So energy is the first thing we like to teach our clients, that to recognize the difference in energy. Are you physically tired? Or are you mentally tired?
Mentally.
Really, right? Really understanding the difference between the two, because you know what you need to do. If you're physically tired, that's rest. That's just, that's certain things that you might need to just stop and kind of, you might need to just have that rest day. Mentally tired, that means that you don't have something in place that is refueling you every single day. That's mindfulness. That's that meditation. That's that morning routine. That's that daily practice that you do because energy is infinite. It doesn't really run out. It's just we have to constantly recharge ourselves, to your point, so that we can stay at that high level. And I think that's the biggest thing for high performers is they don't recognize the nuance in between, like, I have this high, like I'm at 100, and they don't recognize like 90, 80. It's either I'm at 100 or I'm at 0. Yeah. So they need to always be at 100 to feel their best self. How do we keep that person at 100 is maintaining that routine, that daily, morning, that practice, and making sure that your mental energy is there. And then if you are having some type of physical fatigue, that's fine. Take a rest day. Take a day. Like, it's all right. And then I'm recharged the next day. Mental energy is always the toughest one to overcome, though, because that one takes a lot more diligent practice and routine. Like I said, meditation, taking a bath every day, whatever that thing might be that recharges you mentally. Staying away from social media so that you're not so overstimulated. All those kind of things. And then, like you said, team. Oh my God, that's so important. High performers. Building a high-performing team. A lot of times the challenge is that they just hire somebody that might be good at what they do, and they're not truly connected as a team. It's not like, how far are we about to go? It's just, okay, I'm hiring this person. They can edit. They can do this. They can do that. As long as the job is done, I'm cool. But do you know that person? Like, we have an editor right now, and I think we have hired the perfect editor because not only is he good at what he does, but he is committed to getting better and better.
I love it.
He's committed to his craft.
Yes.
And so when you say, like, somebody you can pass the torch to, somebody you can trust, that's somebody you can trust on your team that's also high performing. So it's making sure that you have a high performance team. Yes. Not that you're the only high performer on the team and you're just hiring somebody that has the skill or the talent. It has to be the drive, but they also have to be connected to your vision.
Yes.
They have to be connected to where you want to take this. Like,
you're so good. I'm like, oh, I need you on my team.
They have to be connected to where you want to take the vision, and they have to understand, and they have to know, like, when they sign up with you, they're signing up to also perfect themselves and also become better. And so when you ask the question, or when you're in that hiring process, it's not like, okay, what are you good at? It's how good are you willing to become? And that's if they're you can tell by if they're they're meant to be on your high performing team based off the answer to that question.
She is so good, y'all. She's so good. Okay, I'm hiring some people at the top of the year, so I'm gonna hire her. Yes. I feel so seen because I feel like, as a high performer, like, I'm going back to the point of recharging. It's just a lot when you're doing it by yourself. And I feel like I use a lot of brain power. Because I always say I'm a nerd. I don't care. I sit in front of my computer. Okay. And I use a lot of brain power, and it's just so draining. And I always tell people, like, I just have to, like, chill. Like, the end of the day, I don't even watch TV, really. I'll sit in front of the TV. I will find something to watch, and I'll just sit there if it's like an hour, 2 hours, and then I'll just rest the rest of the night because I need to, like, have that unwind because my mind is constantly going all day and sit in front of the computer. So it's so important to have those rest times. And I think we get so far away from that, and we're such in grind mode, and we're so much into, I have to get this bag, I have to get this money, and it becomes a hamster wheel. And we don't get off of it. Right. And it's tiring. It's so tiring. And I see that a lot just in my friend group, entrepreneur group, and, back to the team thing, hiring the right people. Getting the right people in your corner. So as far as you helping with that aspect, do you help them put together a team or with the hiring process? How does that work?
Yeah. The first thing is identifying who do you need. And a lot of times the biggest thing is they're not willing to let a lot go. Like I can see what they need, but they're just not willing to let it go, and I understand that.
It's a lot.
And there's so many different ways to do it. I've worked with a client who you might not have the capital, like you might not just be there yet, like you might not have the funds to hire what you need to hire. But it's about going down to your local college, hire people that are beginning. Also, because at the end of the day, it's not really about what that person can do or how much that person has accomplished. Again, it's about what that person is willing to learn and how that person is willing to grow. So if you can hire somebody that's also at the beginning and that's willing to come with you and maybe they don't want to charge anything. Maybe they want to prove themselves. Maybe they're in the beginning stages of their career and they want to build their portfolio, like really networking in that sense. So finding different ways to do that regardless of what the obstacle might be. So sometimes it's funding. Sometimes it's not wanting to let go of control. So I also have a client who she just hired a personal assistant. So she's like, I want to do everything in my business. I don't want to let go of control of anything. But I need somebody to help me prep my meals. I need somebody to help me find, my meal prep, what that's going to be every week, find networking events for me to go to on a personal level.
I love that. Yeah.
It's like, okay, if you're not willing to relinquish control on a business front, maybe it'll work better in your personal life. Whatever is gonna allow that balance for you. So it's about really understanding where they're willing to relinquish control, because it's also that if I want it done right, I gotta do it myself. So, but do you allow yourself to truly thrive in your craft if you're doing everything else? So it's like we want you to focus on what you're good at. We want you to be there 100%, and you can't do that if you're trying to do everything else. So how do we find a way to allow you to thrive in your craft so that you can, and allow other people to do their job and thrive in their craft so that everybody can show up 100%. So yes, definitely helping them find whatever that looks like. But that starts with identifying first, where are you willing to relinquish control? Where are you comfortable doing that? And then, we can't act like, funding and cost is not a factor. So then that's the next step. Where do we find these people? Are they college students again? Are they people just beginning in their journey? What's your budget for that? And let's create that plan.
Oh my God, that's so good. That's so good. Because I feel like, oh man, I have an idea. I'm gonna talk to you after. Idea. I have ideas as I go, y'all.
I love it.
What's crazy is, just listening to what you're saying, and all I see is my friends and everything that they're going through, like trying to run a business and have a personal life. So how does the coaching and consulting work on the personal aspect? We talked a lot about business, but as a personal, how do you approach that with your clients?
It's knowing that it all matters. And you're not going to show up 100% for your business or for whatever it is, this goal that you're going for, if you're not showing up on a personal aspect. So it's routine. I think that's sometimes we overcomplicate it, but routine and planning takes care of 90% of the issue. So making sure that we hold them accountable to planning out what their month looks like, planning out what their week looks like. And don't just plan all the business stuff I have to do or all the days I need to work out or whatever the case is, but plan your solo dates. Plan your date with your significant other. Plan the time to go out. Plan all that. Plan everything. And then the morning, evening routines, making sure that you have a routine set in place so that the things that matter to you get done. And if you separate life by categories, you have physical, you have mental, you have spiritual, you have business, you have relationships. So mental, spiritual, wake up, meditate. Okay, you just took care of that. Set your intentions for the day. Journal, do gratitude. You just took care of that. When do you want to work out? Get it over with in the morning. Well, you just took care of physical. And then if you meal prep, that makes your life even easier. So now you got to just heat your food up. Like, how do we make sure that things are just as easy as possible for you to do? And that starts with the prep and the planning of that process. So it takes a lot less discipline to do these things daily. It takes a lot more discipline to sit down on a Sunday and say, all right, what does my week look like? How am I setting up my week? And that in itself is a lot of discipline. It's harder to do that. And then as opposed to doing it every day. Because when you do that, it's easy to implement it every day.
Yeah.
So just sitting down on that Sunday or that Saturday and planning out the week, just the next 7 days.
You know what? I did used to do that. I'm telling y'all a lot of my business. I did do that a lot before I have a board where I write down like what is my 4 goals for the day, and I would do that, and I kind of got away from that. But I literally just told my mom the other day, I said, I got to start writing that back down because if I don't have kind of like my morning routine or at least have goals set, I feel like my day is all over the place. So how does the morning routine positively impact somebody in their day, their entire day? I feel like it sets the tone.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
It sets the tone. And it's how you want to set your tone. Like you're setting how you want to feel. You're setting the things that you want to accomplish for that day. Like you're setting you're setting the tone of your actions and your emotions for the day. So if you have that time to meditate, to set your intentions on how you want to feel, to show gratitude, now you're setting yourself up on a positive note. And then if you can take some time, we call it a buffer block.
Yeah.
And that buffer block can take 10 minutes, it could take 30 minutes, it could take an hour. But the buffer block is a time where you do all the tedious work. You look at your emails, you reply to comments that were made from a post you made yesterday.
Yeah.
You do all the little tedious tasks. You look at your to-do list and you take that time to just do all those things.
Yeah.
So now, okay, I've checked all my emails. I've caught up. I've caught up on social media engagement. I have, text my clients for the day, sent them more to motivation, whatever that thing might be. And I've checked my to-do list. So now I've kind of gained that control. So that buffer block also really helps to have that time to do those type of things. And now you're set up. So you know exactly what you need to do today. There's no guesswork. When you have no guesswork on what needs to be done today,
that's good.
You're good. Like you have full control. I think it's really about control, like having that control over your day.
But do we have control?
Well, if you have control, if you have control over things you can control, when the uncontrollable comes up, it's a lot easier to manage.
Yeah. Have you always been here? Like at this point in your life, where you fully understand the scope of how things need to be to make your day, your life, what you want it to be? Have you always been there, or was it a journey?
It was a journey.
Let's talk about it.
Like, well, obviously in school, you're never really a planner. You don't really do those
That's
things.
A fact.
Like they give you the planner every year, you throw it away, you don't look at it.
Never.
It's just not your thing. And then, you get older and then you start to figure out the things that work for you. So I do think that stepping into coaching helped that. I don't know where I would be in terms of like how I set up my day or what my day looks like if I didn't take this career path.
Yeah.
So a lot of what I choose to do and how I choose to look at life has to do with what I tell other people to do. So it's almost this sense of responsibility to I have to practice what I preach. But it's been a lot of, I think it came from, I have to go back to that client that we had that really changed the trajectory of how we wanted to do things. And it was like, I started to really research, like, what makes the most successful people successful? Like, what is it? Yeah. Like, what are these people doing? And you start to see everybody's doing the same thing and saying the same thing, and they're giving you the recipe. It's the morning routine. It's setting your day up. It's having your evening routine. It's being practicing mindfulness. So personal development, listening to those morning motivational videos, listening to your favorite speakers, and giving yourself range in your personal development. So listening to multiple people at once, reading, audiobooks, listening to audiobooks or reading books, and really getting into the personal development world, I think had a huge impact. Because you start to hear the things that people are saying that's going to make you successful. And again, it's the very basics. It's like, start your day how you want the day to go instead of just getting up and scrolling social media and just getting your day started. Like, take control. Like that. I think we all get a different message from what we listen to. We can listen to the same thing and get a different message.
That's a fact.
The message I've always gotten was control. Like, just gain control. And if you can just gain control over the day, you can gain control of your life, ultimately. So I think a lot of personal development played a huge role in where I am today.
Yeah, because, you know, I have a friend of mine. He wants to get into life coaching at some point. He was like, I have to do the work first. I have to do the work.
Yeah.
And that makes a lot of sense, you know, and really being prepared, because you can't really lead anybody unless you haven't properly done the work yourself. And that's the self-development we talked about. And what has your journey in business been? Has it always been, because, you know, business is a roller coaster, so it'll be up and down. So what are some of the challenges that you face just in developing your own business?
Challenges. The biggest challenge for me has been finding what my specialty was going to be in the coaching game. Like, what are you going to be known for? That was the first challenge. The second one is now once you figure it out, is figuring out how to communicate that. Like, how do you get your message across? That's been, you know, my biggest challenge. But of course, as you're on your journey, you face other challenges like business to business relationships, finding those, the team, finding your team. That's also, you know, a challenge that we face. But it's been so fun. Like, you know, it's just, it's the trade-off of I can build this business exactly the way I want it to be. Nobody else can tell me how I can build this. Like, I have full control over how I want this to look, how far I want this to go. So that trade-off of knowing that you have that control in the palm of your hand versus these challenges that we go through has always been worth it to me. And again, I think the biggest challenge is finding out how to communicate your message, especially in this time of social media, where we're almost solely dependent on it to build our business. So also us realizing that in this industry, I think I used social media as a clutch for a while. And then as I've grown, especially this year, I've realized social media actually my success doesn't depend on social media. That was like a big, like a wake-up call.
Talk about it.
It's really about relationships. Like, it's really about networking and how you handle other people and how you handle opportunity and how you collaborate with other people. Just somebody you might meet at a networking event or somebody you might meet at the grocery store. Like, valuing that, how you're meeting people every single day, the real world experience. So I think that's been the biggest. I think we go through challenges in waves. So the latest challenge was that just understanding that for us and navigating how we want to use social media versus how we want to really be out here impacting the community and be out here networking and having those actual real life experiences. So that's been the main challenge for us right now. But I think we're ending the year like getting through that challenge. So now, you know, going into the new year, we're just super excited because we have now grasped that concept and we have now gotten to the city and gotten to the real world, and now we're having these experiences and letting go of social media. Not letting it go, like using it for what it's used for, but I think so many entrepreneurs, you know, come and they're like, I don't know how to use social media. I don't know how to use a platform. I don't know how to grow my following. And it's like, it's just one way. Like, that's just one way to build a business. That's it.
Right.
That's not the way. It's just one way. So if you're having problems with it, there's so many other ways to build your business. And get out there. Get out into the real world and build those relationships. Let people see your face.
Yes, that's so good. Yeah, because, you know, I'm in the marketing and branding space. So when I talk to people, social media is always at the top of your list. I don't know how to make content. I'm like, first of all, let's talk about building your brand first. I said, then we build a community around it. Then you have to build relationships. I said, social media is just a tool.
That's it.
It is just a tool. And I think we get so attached to it because it's entertainment. It passes the time. You know, you get lost on social media. All of a sudden, we scrolling for you look up, it's 2 hours. You're like, wait a minute, I wasted some time. But, you know, in social media, because you have quite a bit of a following on social media. So speaking as a person in business, how has social media been used as a tool for you, for one? And then in using social media, how has it positively benefited your business from social media?
I think that, well, if I'm being honest, I built my following in fitness. So in transitioning from fitness to high performance coaching,
Mm-hmm.
there's been a drop.
No.
So
Okay.
when I was in fitness, the following, it was very beneficial for my business, and that's
Yeah.
where all my business came from.
Mm-hmm.
And making that shift and
Mm-hmm.
watching the numbers drop, watching the engagement drop,
Mm-hmm.
it hit the ego before it hit anything else, of
Yeah.
course. But then once I kind of came out of it and was like, all right, well, if it almost felt like I was starting from zero. Like I had the numbers there, but I'm starting
Yeah.
from zero right now. And now I have to build a whole new community. I have to build
Yeah.
a whole new
Yeah.
audience that resonates with what I'm actually saying now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So the numbers mattered when the audience fit what I was selling.
Yeah.
So growing a following is one
Yes.
thing. Growing a following that hasn't that's that the basis of the audience matches
Mm-hmm.
what you're trying to sell or what your message is a whole other thing. And you can attract a following based off one post, based off a
Mm-hmm.
couple viral posts that has actually nothing to do with what you're selling.
Exactly.
So the number definitely does not matter.
Mm-hmm.
What I have found though was in building it, there's always that one person that comes along every few months that has shifted the trajectory of my business. And I think it's because of my exposure, because of
Yeah.
who I have exposure to. So I've had very powerful
Yeah.
connections throughout
That's
time.
good.
So it's not the quantity, it's been the quality
Yeah.
of the people I've been able to meet
I love that.
through leveraging my following.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't think that the numbers matter because I've seen people with 6,000 followers in $1 million business. It's the
Let's talk
relationships.
about it.
It's how you're getting out there. Like it's
Yeah.
really how you're what do they call it? Cutting your teeth.
Mm-hmm.
It's how you're just kind of taking opportunities and meeting people and networking. It's really that's the power of building a business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I love how you said that, from switching over to high performance coaching and how your audience change, and when you're nurturing your audience with the type of content that you want them to really navigate and create a community around, I think people kind of miss that point because a lot of it is about the content. If it matches your brand, and if I want to sell, I don't know, bracelets, if I'm selling bracelets, right? But I'm talking about my daily meals, that has nothing to do with me selling bracelets. So my community is not connecting with what I'm trying to sell them.
Right.
So I have to create content that matches my brand, for one, and creates a community. Could you attach lifestyle to your bracelets? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But you got to know how to properly do
have to
that
know how
on
to do
social
it.
media.
Yeah.
Exactly. So in that aspect of social media, is there any tools and is there any steps that you use to even grow your brand, even when you were doing fitness, that will be beneficial to people who are in business today?
I think, when I was doing fitness, it was understanding, I think finding that niche.
Yeah.
Right. Understanding that it's fitness, but fitness has so many different realms. So for me, it was weight gain. So connecting to the people that wanted to gain weight was, really what it looked like. And being able making sure that I spoke to those people. So making sure that every post was geared around how to gain weight. What do you need to do to gain weight? Like,
there we go.
That was that. And I'm doing the same thing right now. And like I said, at one point when I made the shift initially, I seen the numbers drop. And now that I am standing in my message unapologetically and not trying to fit everybody, because I think you go through that. If you make that shift in business, like when I first started fitness, it went from trying to target everybody to finding the niche. When I shifted into high performance coaching, it was trying to target everybody to finding your niche. So every time you step into a new realm, or anytime you step into a new business, whether it's new or whether it's a transition, you're going to have to find that thing that you speak to unapologetically, so you can find your tribe. So
Love it.
It's stepping into your message unapologetically without comparison to other people in your field, so that you can find your tribe and they start to come. You start to attract them.
Yeah. Do you think personal branding has been beneficial as well?
Yes, absolutely. Understanding who Coach K is versus understanding who a new you coaching and consulting is. It's beneficial, but it's a challenge. Trying to build two brands at one time. But what I have found is helpful is building your personal brand and then funneling people from your personal brand to your business is the best way to do it. The easiest way to do it is what I found.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, you're so good. She know what you're talking about, y'all. Listen. It's my new friend, y'all. That's my new friend. I feel like, oh, you know so much. I think a lot of young people, they get so engulfed in social media, and it just becomes of, I'm just sharing every step of my life. How has not sharing every part of your life been beneficial in building your brand as well? Because you don't have to show every aspect of what you do on the daily to build an effective brand and also be able to book your clients.
True. That's a good question. Man, I think I struggle with that for a minute. But I had to sit down and say, what is your message? And okay, you're stepping into high performance. Yeah. You're stepping into this unapologetically. And what does that mean for what life looks like for you and what you're going to show now? Yeah. You have to be it so people can see it, and then they will believe it. So how do you show that you are being that person that you are trying to target? Yeah. And that's the only focus. And that translates, you can make that work in anything that you're doing. Like you can show whatever you want as long as you intentionally make sure that the message is the undertone of whatever it is that you're posting. I also think utilizing your story versus your page and understanding the difference between the two. Because I think your story is like, that's the people that's rocking with you. Like they care about what's going on in your life. So that's day-to-day stuff. And that's still intentional. And then your page, that's a whole different, that's like your business card. It's almost like your website to a certain extent. So that's all message. Like everything on there is some type of message or some type of brand voice in some way, shape, or form. So understand the difference between the two. I haven't dabbled in different platforms just yet. Yeah. We are starting a series, so we will be utilizing YouTube and TikTok and other platforms. But this is just, my experience has solely been on Instagram as far as social media so far. So I'm excited to see and understand the difference in like other platforms and kind of how it works. But that's just been my personal experience so far.
That's really good. Yeah. And I can clearly understand you understand branding and marketing too. Okay. You're getting into it. Oh, girl, yes. Yes. Because the conversations you're having is the conversations I have with my clients. Literally the same conversations, because a lot of people, when they're starting a brand or business, for one, they struggle with understanding the difference between branding and marketing, and then how to utilize social media. So you're doing an awesome job.
Thank you.
Like, you're doing really good. Like, I love what you're doing. And, you know, when it comes to coaching, what do you say to someone who has already reached the financial accolades in life? They've already had a successful business and they're looking for what's next.
I think that's the most exciting question. What's next? Like, I think in coaching somebody who is reaching accomplishments and their focus is what's next, that person, like, there's no such thing as an ultimate goal for that person. It's just, how far can I go? Like, what am I capable of achieving? What am I capable of accomplishing in my life? But for some people that's different. So we coach people who have that mindset strictly in business. Like, I've accomplished this, what's next? And it's like, all right, let's what's next? Like, what do we, you know? But it's some people who's like, okay, I've accomplished this in business. Now I want to start a family. Now I want to do this. Now I want to do X. And I think that constant pursuit of just excellence, because that person that has that mindset probably has excelled in business and they want to excel as a mother. And they want to excel as a family man, and they want to excel, you know, in their business or as a wife or whatever the case is. So it's like that mindset of excellence translates into every area. And I feel like as long as that's the mindset, the process, the planning is going to be different, but the process is the same. And that's the most exciting, I guess, journey for us as coaches. Like, when we do encounter somebody who has that mindset, like, that goal that person wants to hit isn't their ultimate goal. They're not like, okay, once I hit that, I'm done. They're like, we know we want to get there because there's stuff after. So it's like a never-ending journey. And that's the most exciting thing. So, and when you deal with that type of person, I don't think it's more so advice that needs to be given. I think it's just that constant sense of empowerment, like that constant uplifting. Like, okay, I accomplished this. Let's reset. Let's celebrate. You have to celebrate. If you continue to go for different goals and accomplish one thing after another, and you never celebrate, now we have to question what you're after. Like, okay, what is this about? Is this about your self-worth? Like, are you trying to accomplish something because you feel as though maybe you're not worthy or you're not enough? Like, we have to question that. If you're not celebrating, it's like you're after something, you're trying to fill this void. But when you encounter somebody who celebrates along the way, and I think holding them accountable to celebration, like, no, that was big, like, let's make this a thing, take a vacation, do something, like, let's celebrate that, let's acknowledge that, and then let's keep going. And it's just an exciting journey, and our only job is to constantly uplift that person and let that person know, like, if you did that, you could definitely do this. Let's do it. And I think they thrive off that excitement. Like, let's do it. Like, it's always this constant, like, okay, like, let's do it.
Yeah, and, you know, I want to briefly touch on relationships briefly, because I'm not a relationship podcast. But when it comes to healing, and how important healing is in not only in the relationship, but also leading in business. How important is that?
Well, let me ask, when you say healing, what do you mean?
Healing, I mean from trauma that has happened in your life. And sometimes it can negatively affect the relationships in your life, whether that be in business or that is in your personal life. So how can I effectively be a leader if there are some healing components that I need to work on?
Whenever I feel like you decide that you want something, whether that's to lead, whether that's to be a powerful leader, whether that's to be in a relationship, there always has to be a moment of self-reflection. Like, okay, let me step back, let me ask myself, what are my strengths and weaknesses in this area? And there's some things you're going to be able to answer, and there's some things you're going to just have to do. And then you're going to have to, your weaknesses are going to have to be revealed as you go through that process. So if it's a relationship that you desire, and you start down the path and you know, okay, these are some things I'm strong at, these are some things I'm weak at, and I'm going to work on them. As you go through, as you kind of start to date, or as you start to try to establish yourself as a leader in business, your weaknesses will be revealed. And I think it's a clear sign whether you're healed or not in how you handle those weaknesses being revealed. If you can take that in and say, okay, ooh, I'm a little stubborn. Like, okay, I need to work on that. Then I think that's a sign that you are healed. I think the sign that you're not is if you take those weaknesses and you either blame yourself, you're hard on yourself, you retreat, or you kind of lash out on other people. So once you realize how you're handling those weaknesses, or those weaknesses being revealed to you, that's how you can decide, okay, am I healed or am I not? And then in that case, it's like, okay, but how do you talk to that person who doesn't recognize that they're not healed? I think the first step to healing is just recognizing that you need to heal, or that you have things that you need to work on. Not really need to heal, but you have things that you need to work on.
Absolutely.
And I think the best thing for somebody who doesn't recognize that is to at least have somebody around them to point it out, in a loving way. You know, to be like, okay, like, it's not nobody else's fault. Like, this is you. Like, let's work on it. How do you talk to somebody who doesn't recognize that they're not healed? The people that recognize it, that they're not, and they're working on it, think they're fine. They're on the right path. It's the people that don't recognize it, and they have to have somebody around them that can point it out. That's the only way to see it.
That's so good. So, oh my God.
Just other people around them holding them accountable.
And also establishing some boundaries is really important too. I feel like that's something I have effectively been doing over the last couple of years, is making sure that I establish boundaries even through my healing journey, which has been extremely beneficial. So before we leave, I definitely want you to give some advice to young people who want to kind of follow the same path, whether they want to do life coaching or just, build a brand of their own. Like, what is some advice that you would give them?
If you are starting, excuse me, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
I'll redo that. Edit that out. If you are starting, my advice would be to just kind of, when you have the idea initially, I want to do this. Sit in the playfulness of it for a while. Like, just imagine what it could be. Before you start to get off into the very specifics of it, okay, what do I need to do? How do I need to do it? Just sit in it for a while. Just imagine how big it could be. Like, just utilize your imagination to get you excited about it.
Yeah.
I think when you start something excited, those are the people that, to me, succeed in the most natural way, the most organic way. So start that process. Just if it's a new idea, if it's a new desire, just sit in it for a while, and then allow things to start to flow to you. So then start to think about the how. Don't get too specific too fast. Just think about, okay, now how do I want to do it? Not how do I need to do it? Not what is everybody else doing? Just how do I want to do it? Do you want to start to just post your journey naturally, organically? Just post how you're doing it. That's something that they taught us in fitness. It was just, if you are starting out as a fitness coach, just post your own fitness journey first. Just do that. And people start to ask how you're doing it, what you're doing. Just do that. Just post your journey. Just start there. Let people ask you. Let the demand grow. Like, let people start to make you feel like you have authority. Don't try to establish that authority without anybody recognizing it. Like, post that journey and let people watch. Oh, wow, you're growing. Oh, wow, you're good at that. Even if it's a product that you're selling. Oh, you're good at that. You're good at making that, or whatever the case is. Or I want some. Like, whatever that is. Like, and let them ask so you can start to develop that sense of authority, but from them first. And then from there, just allow it to grow organically, but do the things on the back end too. Like, make your website, do the back end business things at the same time, and start to just learn. I think learning your craft, but learning business as well. Either hiring somebody who knows about business, the real business side of things, but perfect the craft. If you're making body butter, perfect the craft. If you're coaching, perfect the craft. Like, whatever that craft is, study it. Try to do it as much as possible. Not hire clients, but take on clients that are just practice clients. Take on clients for free. Like, do what you need to do just to get yourself out there. Like, just to perfect your craft. And I think everything from there starts to just flow starts to just flow organically.
Yeah. I agree 100%. So let the people know where they can find you, Coach K, and also A New You Coaching and Consulting.
Yes. My Instagram is Life Coach K. Our business Instagram is A New You Coaching, and our website is anewyoucoaching.com.
That's awesome.
ANUU coaching.com.
There we go. Thank you so much for tuning in, everybody. To follow Keys to Culture Podcast at Keys to Culture Podcast on all platforms. You can watch us on YouTube and stream us everywhere podcasts are played. Or you can follow me at I Am Maisha on all social media platforms. Until next time, we see you soon. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Girl, that was good.
That was great.